the regular season officially over and postseason started. It's I think we've had 3 good practices here and just finished up today's. We'll have one more tomorrow. The challenge with practice now is to stay sharp while taking advantage of the fact that we do have a bye till Friday, which is those are not easy to get. I know everybody around here is used to us getting the byes, but this is not and this is even before I'm here, since Mizzou and A&M joined in 2013. I think Alabama and Florida, the only 2 schools that have never played on a Wednesday. Now with Kentucky playing, I think that game started already, right? With Kentucky playing on Wednesday today. So just having the first bye, not playing until Thursday, is tough enough with only 2 schools really doing it since we added Mizzou and Texas A&M, but also getting the bye to Friday. So the challenge with that is make sure you use the benefit of the bye by making sure you're well rested while not losing conditioning. You got to play to be sharp. You don't want to get any injuries. So I think we've accomplished it for the most part. I think we've had 3 very sharp, locked in, good practices. Nobody's injured. And I feel like we played enough to keep them sharp, and we're gotten done what we need to get done. Now, the other challenge is you got 3 options that you may play Friday. Ole Miss plays Texas tonight, and the winner of that plays Georgia. And, if we beat Ole Miss, but we lost to the other 2. So, hopefully our guys understand that there's we got to play better. So we can't expect to move on in this tournament if we don't play better than what we did the first time we played either Texas or Georgia. So a lot of good things have come up since we talked to you last. Labaron was able to make first team All-SEC, which is great. It's the 7th selection we've had since we've been here, which leads the league. So, I feel like we've done a pretty good job, recruiting good players, developing them, and putting them in a position to succeed, to have the most first-team selections. He's the first player since 2020, I believe, first Power 4 player since 2000. Not my fault. Stephen gave me the stat. First Power 4 player since 2000 that averaged 21 points, 4.5 assists, and shot 50% from the field. So, and only the 4th Division I player since 2000. So the other 3 were all mid-major players. It's a little bit easier to do that at those levels. So had a really good season. Deserved first team All-SEC, was unanimous. All-SEC selection. Amari became the 9th freshman to be named the all-freshman team for us since we got here, which is tied with Kentucky. So I think we've done a pretty good job putting our players in position to succeed. Holloway got 3rd team, which is great. I mean, he's proved quite a bit since his freshman year in the league. So, Barron and Holloway both All-SEC, Mari all freshmen. I think we've got a lot of guys playing really well. I thought Sherrell, I think he's 2nd in the league in blocks, should have been in consideration for the all-defensive team. I just, for whatever reason, didn't get it. But he's been playing well for us. Wrightso's coming off the player of the week last week. So we've got a lot of guys playing their best basketball come the right time. So we're excited to get down there. Bus is going to pull out pretty much right after we're done here. We'll get up there tonight in time to watch the Texas Ole Miss game. It'll get down to 2 options instead of 3 after tonight, and then we'll try to get locked into what we got to do tomorrow.
Seems like y'all kind of been ramping Taylor's minutes up over the last couple of weeks since his injury. Maybe what do you want to see from him this postseason, kind of getting back to the minutes and output he kind of had at the first part of the season?
Yeah, it was, obviously Texas is a good team and we didn't fare well against them, but part of it was good that we got the Texas draw in the sense that it made me go back and watch our Texas game. And he was great. Shoot, I mean, if you go back and watch our first Texas game, he was flying around, super active, making plays, block shots, rebounds. And like I told the team, like when you just lose yourself in the game making all the blue-collar effort plays like he did that game. He also happened to go 3 for 3 from 3. So I think, we're trying to get him back to the level he was in that area, beginning of January into December before he had the injuries. If we can get him back playing like that, that really helps us out. London's had some really good minutes at the 4 for us, but that's kind of been a spot where we need more rebounding, more playmaking, a lot more of everything, to be honest with you. So between Taylor, London, Amari at the 4, it's a spot we need to get more production out of. And if we can get Taylor playing like he did that first Texas game, that'd be huge for us.
This is more of a big picture question, but just how comfortable are you with what you have to work with from an NIL spending standpoint?
Yeah, you know what? I'm not on social media during the year, but a few people send me some stuff. Like I did see some stuff come up with, some of the decisions come down the last day or so. Look, I'm gonna say this. Like, first and foremost, I firmly believe that we're going to get the right players for our program, and we want players that come here for reasons that don't have money at the top. I think when you take players in that money's the number one thing, I think you end up with problems. Now, having said that, we got to be fair, and we got to be in the market, and we got to be, competitive. And I think right now I've had conversations with our administration, and we're going to be competitive. They're doing a very good job working with our donors, business owners, the whole thing, how it needs to look now. So if you look at the landscape of college basketball and college sports in general, I find it very hard to believe that some of these numbers that are being reported or promised to players are legitimate. Now, I'm not saying maybe they don't have the money, but the rev share numbers are significantly lower than what the whole budget's being promised, according to, if you add up what all players get. So it's got to go through NIL Go. I'm not going to risk my job, nor is Greg Byrne going to risk his, nor is this school going to do anything outside of what's allowed. So every other dollar on top of the rev share has got to go through NIL Go. And look, a lot of our guys bring their own value to the table. They're at a place like Alabama, who I think's got the biggest name brand in college sports with the entire athletic department. And our Alabama Script A brand recognition helps with a lot of that. There's no professional sports teams in Alabama, so our guys are the professional athletes in the state of Alabama. All of that helps a ton, so I think we're going to be able to get a lot more through the NIL Go than a lot of places. But, places can promise X number of dollars. I'm going to be very curious to just see how these guaranteed, if you will, because you can't have it in a contract guaranteed. So this non-guaranteed, guaranteed, whatever you want to call it, NIL deals, are they going to actually pass through, and are they going to be able to get the money that some of these are promised? And I think you see across college basketball that some of these long-standing injuries, and I'm not saying every one of them's like that, but they may not be getting all the money that they were promised. And we're at a place where when we tell a guy that he's getting his money, he's getting his money because we're very confident that he's going to be able to get it. So I think with the money that's going to be delivered through both rev share and NIL Go, we're as good a place as anybody in the country, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, defensively, what have you liked the last couple weeks, and where do you still want to see improvement?
I like our defensive playmaking, and we're getting more steals, deflections, more. I think we're being more aggressive, which we've challenged our guys to do. We talked about the possession game early in the year, and I don't think we did a great job as the head coach of emphasizing enough. So when we really got into it and really started to struggle, getting killed on the old boards, not turning people over enough, I made a decision to give Preston. Fleming kind of runs offense, BA runs the defense. Preston was in charge of a lot of personnel, player development, and he's unbelievable at it. But I gave him the term possession game coach, and he's been putting together edits of how do we create more defensive plays, defensive playmaking edits. He's pulled a lot of NBA clips, guys in the NBA doing it. He's also pulled clips of us doing it, opportunities for us to do it where we didn't do it. And then the rebounding, goes into it too. And I think he's done a really good job. I think Preston's, we all know he's, I think, the best recruiter in the country, but he's also extremely smart basketball mind, a guy that was a high-level player that played at a high level. So I think he's done a really good job at it. The players have bought into it. Obviously, Coach Fleming and BA, on their side of the ball have emphasized what you can do to help the possession game as well. But look, we're more aggressive, more active. I think there's even more to it. I think we got to do a better job at the point of the attack, meaning our guards up front, of really controlling the other team's guards, not getting beat on blow-bys, having a little bit better presence and ball screen coverage. So no coach is ever going to be completely satisfied with where you're at. But I'm seeing growth in areas we're emphasizing, which is great. You go back to the two runs deep into March we've had these last 2 years, Final Four and an Elite Eight. I think both those years we got better in March on defense, and we're significantly better in our run in March than we had been during the year, and I expect to see the same this year.
Since you've been here, you guys have played like revenge games, so to speak, in the SEC tournament. Just typically, what are the players' kind of response whenever they get that kind of opportunity?
Yeah, well, I think they understand that if you come out and do what you did the first time, probably good chance you get the same result. And if we get the same result, we ain't going to be playing tomorrow. So you got to come out and do something a little different than what we did. So coaching staff's got to do a good job making sure we make adjustments from, when we took the loss till now. And the players got to realize that some of the adjustment is they just got to execute the game plan better. So, yes, there's stuff that we as a coaching staff did not do a good job of in both these games, Texas and Georgia, if we end up playing one of them. And we got to be better, and we will be better. Players got to be able to execute that game plan, and then also on some of the stuff that we tried to emphasize the first time and just didn't get it done good enough. Some of it is just we got to have better effort. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. My first adjustment is always do it harder and do it better. Like, we're not changing. When I was a high school coach, all these coaches, defense didn't work. I've tried 2-3, 1-3-1. No, just play harder. Do it better. Like, call a timeout and flip defense. No, just play harder. So I think the first adjustment is always do it harder, do it with more effort, do it better. If that doesn't work, then we can make an adjustment. So some of the adjustment is do it better and do it harder and do it tougher with a lot more effort. And I think we've gotten that on the second time around, some of these losses that we played a team the first time. And then obviously there's stuff that we did as a staff that maybe didn't work as well as we thought it was going to work, and we got to make some adjustments too.
Given some of the things that you've said about Houston Millette the last few weeks, is he somebody that you might want to retain, like as a GA or an analyst, if he wanted to get into the coaching business?
Yeah, I, for sure. And I would, for all those guys, and I told Chris Youngblood the same thing, man. I mean, like, when you get done playing, like, you circle back with me. We'll try to find something. I think there's certain guys that build the culture, study the game, know it well, and Houston's one of them. Now, he's also put a lot of time into becoming a very good basketball player. He sat last year with the knee issues, got him healthy. Man, he's as healthy as he's been maybe since he started playing college basketball. So I personally hope that he goes on and plays a long time because he loves playing basketball. If I had better genetics and I was a better athlete, I would have played a lot longer than I did. I love coaching, but I like playing more than I like coaching. And if I was him, I'd play a long time because he's pretty good. He's a lot better than I ever was. So, whatever that level is, hopefully he gets a chance. CY came out of here and never really hit his peak because of the injuries. He had the surgery, but shoot, he's on 2 different two-ways. He maxed out his two-way with the Thunder. At one point, had the most wins any rookie in the NBA this year. He's now on a second two-way because you understand how those work. You can only play X number of games, and he maxed it all out. Now he's on his second two-way with Portland and doing great. Hopefully Houston's able to do something similar. and I hope he keeps playing. But yes, when some of those guys are done playing, I got a couple former players that came back as GAs. Pino was a walk-on, was GA, now he's full-time. Blake Hamilton played for me at Buffalo. I'd love to bring some of the guys back that want to get into coaching. If he wants to get into it, I'd love to help him out in the future.
It seemed like London Jemison really found his flow against Auburn. What has to happen for him to be more consistent and carry that into the SEC tournament?
Yeah, you know what? He's a freshman that's done really well for us as a freshman. We've had a lot of freshmen do great for us. I think some of it's the system, some of it's the trust that we put into these freshmen, putting them, letting them play through mistakes and all that. I think what he needs to do is focus on the stuff that, and this is what everybody needs to do for the most part, but, particularly a lot of times as freshmen, just focus on the things you have full control over. So you don't have full control over whether you make every shot or not. Nobody's shooting 100%. Like, that's not. So just, is it a good shot or not? If it's a great shot, your feet are set, it's good, knock it in. If it doesn't go in, fine. Don't worry about that. What we got to worry about is playing hard. Are you crashing the glass? I think you saw his offensive rebounding was great against Auburn. Continue to get on the old boards. Make effort plays. Be locked in on defense. We talk about defensive playmaking. When you're a 6'9" wing that can move like he moves, there's a lot of defensive plays that are out there for him to make. I think defensive playmaking, being an elite defender, being an elite rebounder, all that stuff, his effort he gives on all that, that's all within his full control. And when he's doing all that at a high level, you just end up playing a really good offensive game when you're as talented on offense as him. So, that's kind of my talking point to him. It's really with Taylor too, and it was great that I got to watch the Texas game again because, man, was Taylor good that game. So if we get London and Taylor both playing at their peak performances, this team's going to be a much better team.
Yeah, just given the losses, do you see your SEC tournament draw as an advantage or a disadvantage?
Explain your question. Sorry. The losses?
The losses to Texas.
Oh, the fact that we've lost to Texas and Georgia. My fault. Yeah, I should have understood that. That was a good question. No. The fact that we're 0-1 against Texas and 0-1 against Georgia. Yeah, you can look at it two ways. One is, shoot, we lost both these teams. Are they a better team than you? They're good teams. Like, there's no doubt both those teams have very good rosters, very good coaches that play hard. So in one regard, would you like to play a team that you dominated? Well, it's the SEC. We're a 2 seed. You're going to play a 7 or a 10, most likely. You could end up playing a 15, but most likely you're playing a 7 or a 10. The 7 seed and the 10 seed in the SEC are both NCAA tournament teams. So you're going to play a good team. I think if you're going to play a good team, sometimes there's a little bit of an edge, maybe playing them after you lost. There's human nature, emotion that goes into this. We're not robots. It's not, we use a lot of analytics and you can spit out the computer models on everything and we look at them all. But the fact is there's still emotion that goes into this. We coach with some emotion, the players play with some emotion, and I would hope that it's an advantage because there's a little bit more of an edge to you when you've lost to the team. So I guess that remains to be seen, but I guess I haven't gone through. It sounds like maybe you went through and looked at teams that we've lost to in the past and played in the tournament. Maybe we've had some success. I guess I would have to go through and look at our tournament success with some of those. I guess I'm not aware of all those, but it sounds like maybe Blake is.
Hey, Coach, as great as Labaron's been playing, I was shocked to find out that he wasn't a finalist for the Cousy Award. Do you think this could give him a little extra chip on his shoulder if he even needs it?
Who were the finalists for that? I didn't see that.
Jaden Bradley, Braden Smith, from Houston, Acoff.
Kingston Fleming from Houston, the freshman. Acoff, how many finalists were there? That's 4, 5. So was it Jaden Bradley, Braden Smith, Acoff, Kingston Fleming? Oh, he's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, shoot. Look, I'm gonna say this. I mean, those 5 are all really good players. I personally wouldn't trade Labaron for any of them. Now, obviously, I'm biased. I coach him, but I believe in what he does. I think when you look at what he does late in games with his game winning, if I would say him, I'd have a chip on my shoulder because I would think I'm better than those guys. Now, those 5 are all very good players, and this is no disrespecting those 5. I mean, shoot, Acuff came in here and dropped 49 on us. That's not easy to do. So, it's hard, but I think of some other guys in the draft or in the point guard spot in college basketball. I mean, Bennett Sturts was not a finalist, so he's a pretty good player too. He's had a good year. There's some other guys out there that I think, Mikel Brown at Louisville is pretty good. Like some other guys are pretty good that are also weren't finalists, but that's I don't vote on that. I don't know who votes on it. That's great. Hopefully, Labaron's one of those types that I'm sure he's seen it, and I'm sure it's going to drive him a little bit. I know Labaron, and he came in with a chip on his shoulder last year, and when he decided, to kind of switch his commitment and come play for us, the agreement was, that was not a money situation, which goes back to, the earlier question. I like guys that come here that again, we're going to be fair with our money and competitive. They'll get paid when they come. But Labaron didn't really care what his money was here. Basically, he just said, "Coach, I just want a shot to play." And shoot, yeah, of course, everybody's got a shot to play. Well, he came in with a chip on his shoulder, improved. I mean, he was the best guard in the program all last summer. So when he's got a reason to have a chip on his shoulder, because where he had previously been committed was taking a bunch of guards in the portal, and I think he felt like maybe he wasn't valued. That's why he decided to come back home and play for us. When he's got a chip on his shoulder, I've seen a little bit different version of Labaron Philon. So hopefully, like you said, that's what we get to see here in March.